Well, good day. So, for today's video, we're gonna go back to the arcade and talk about a cartoon series based on the biggest arcade game of the 90s. I'm talking about Street Fighter. So, alright, Hadouken!
Yeah! So, we start off in some underground martial arts tournament where we see Colonel William Guile going up against some random jobber. I wonder who may win this fight. But it's actually kinda weird because Guile is also up against the entire audience. They hate him. They call him a coward, a deserter. Allegedly, as somebody yells out towards him, they heard that he ran out on his own troops during a peacekeeping mission in Shadaloo. As tensions flare, a quick sonic boom ends the fight and all the back talk. Later, we find out that the peacekeeping running away allegations is a ruse. It's a cover-up to hide the top secret team of international crime fighters codenamed Street Fighter. And they are covered up by these martial arts tournaments all around the world. It's confusing, but fascinating. Guile meets up with his boss, Asher, and he gives Guile his mission. There was a deadly virus that was stolen. Like, horribly deadly. Guile's mission is to assemble a Street Fighter team and steal the deadly virus back. Should be fun. Meanwhile, in São Paulo, Ken and Ryu are having a horrible time trying to find a lost temple and all of the treasures within. But they have no problems finding Colonel Guile, to which Guile begrudgingly recruits these two never-do-wellers on his team. Luckily, he also recruits Chun-Li, the strongest woman in the world, as she beats up a bunch of would-be muggers. So, well, at least Guile has one competent recruit, so that's a good thing, right? Later, Chun-Li fixed a random Street Fighter surveillance unit that was out in the middle of the jungle. It's like, man, even the rain could have destroyed this thing. That's sensitive electronic equipment you have there. But on the last recording, we learned that not only was the virus stolen, but so was the entire team of virologists, including Guile's old lover, Cindy. The plot thickens, eh? Guile finds a bunch of clues and figures out that the virus was stolen by the villainous M.Bison, the man who killed Chun-Li's parents. Dun dun dun! Elsewhere, Bison's men kidnap some Incan mystics, while in the nearby temple, an insane green man goes completely berserk and chases after them, trying to save his friends. Also, M.Bison greets the team of freshly kidnapped virologists, and he is impatient with their work on finding a cure for the disease, so he could use it as a weapon, but still protect himself. Deadly, but sensible. He gives the team some motivation. Bison will infect the Incan mystics after 12 hours time. So they only have 12 hours to find a cure to this deadly disease that has completely eluded them to this point. Oh man, Bison, I know you're trying to be the tough guy and all that, but medical science can only move so fast. Patience, you dumb jerk. Later, in the jungle, crazy green guy attacks Guile. He blames him for the mystics being kidnapped. But tensions die down as we find out Green Guy is actually former Street Fighter member named Blanca. He's all green and scary because he was mutated by Bison and then, with his horrific figure, went into hiding with his mystic buddies. Also, Ken and Ryu ditch the team so they can steal treasure from a temple, but Ryu falls ill and passes out. Oh no! It's the deadly virus! He's infected! He's also screwed! Also, The rest of the Street Fighter team breaks into Bison's camp to save the virologists, which angers Bison and he destroys the medical equipment out of spite, I guess? Also, he instantly opens up the virus container on the Incan Mystics. Luckily, Blanka rescues his friends before that, but he gets hit with an incredible dose of the virus. Ugh! Ryu and Blanka are in a critical state. Bison takes off, leaving the team to suffer with the virus that he's just unleashed upon them. Like, holy crap, this mission sounds like a complete failure. Or does it? Nay! Turns out Blanka's mutation has created a natural-ish kind of cure in his immune system, as his immune system starts breaking down the deadly virus, so his blood can be turned into a vaccine. So the day is mostly saved. Hooray! Ryu and Blanka have fully recovered, a cure has been found, and Blanka has rejoined his buddies in Street Fighter. And with that, that is the end of this arcade tale.
Hey, so yeah, man, that's the episode. Man, oh man, so like, I didn't play a whole lot of Street Fighter 2 when I was, younger. Most of my friends were completely obsessed with the game, so like, I was always around it one way or another. But I really do love that cheesy movie from the 90s, with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Cheesiness works for a movie, not so much for a cartoon. And this cartoon series was pretty cheesy, man. Like, holy jeez. Some things about it just, didn't seem to fit. It feels like it was made 10 years too late. Because there was a whole bunch of cartoons that were all about some military organization. Shows like G.I. Joe or Mask or even Rambo. But this show, even though it still had that military organization kind of stuff called Street Fighter, crazy name for an organization, but whatever. But it's like they were trying to capture 80s magic and put it into a mid-90s cartoon, which is two completely different vibes and just doesn't jive. Oh, I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. But Street Fighter being a military organization? I thought this game was all about some martial arts tournament. What the heck are they doing being an international anti-terrorist group, Although, these characters having all these special moves during their fights, they're kind of technically like a superhero in a way. So, in one way, the show kind of makes sense, but at the same time, also not really. But, they did have some pretty good stuff kind of going on in there, I'll give them that much. Even though Guile has basically the personality of a statue in this series, they did a pretty good job showing how, heartbroken he is by giving up his former life to be in this Street Fighter organization. How he deeply loves Cindy and still wants to be with her, but he can't, secret missions and all. How he had all those allegations against him when he left to go undercover, and the whole cover-up story for it. They actually did a pretty good job showing his struggles with that, so good on them. But, if you haven't seen this series before, you could check it out just for funsies. It does make me a little nostalgic for the video game, and the movie, but, yeah, that's pretty much it. But with that, we do have some more behind-the-scenes kind of things about Street Fighter and the characters and all that kind of stuff going on over here.
So yes, indeed, hey? Street Fighter, the animated series. So seeing as this is a North American cartoon, let's see how we got to it from the North American Street Fighter release perspective. And everything started in 1987, when the arcade game Street Fighter was first released. A fighting game with a worldwide martial arts tournament where you are trying to be the best. In this game, you play as Ryu, where he has 3 special moves which you can obtain with a combination of button joystick kind of movements and stuff. If you happen to be player 2, you would play as Ken, with the exact same power sets. Which makes sense because especially in games back in the day, you had that one main character, and if you were player 2, it was the exact same character just wearing different color clothes. But this time they decided to make a different character. So Ken and Ryu used to be training partners, which is why within the game, they say they have the same power set. In 1990, there was, I guess technically, a spin-off game called Street Fighter 2010: The Final Fight, which was a completely different game. It was a side-scroller action kind of a game where you played the game as Ken. In other parts of the world, it wasn't Ken, it was some other guy, I think named Kevin or something. But for North America, it was Ken, and it was a Street Fighter spin-off, which is interesting. But even more interesting things happened in 1991 when you had the release of Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior. And yeah, man, like I say, pretty much everyone I knew played this game like non-stop. Pretty much the same basic story as Street Fighter 1. You're going around the world beating people up, trying to win a tournament, but a bit more expansive. Instead of being just Ryu for player 1 and just Ken for player 2, you could pick from quite a number of different and new characters, including the final boss from Street Fighter 1, Sagat. Not only that, but each character would have its own special power sets, which you could use by hitting a different set of commands with the joystick and the buttons per each character. For me, I used Blanka probably more often than not because his was the easiest. Pull backwards and then pull forward. Easy peasy. And because the game was so fantastic, of course you have to capitalize on that, right? So you had different variations of Street Fighter 2, like Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And then mixed in with that, you had other variations like Street Fighter Alpha. So with the massive success of these games, of course they're gonna expand this game beyond video games, including Hollywood movies, which they did. In 1994, you had the release of Street Fighter, the live-action movie, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile and the legendary Raul Julia as M.Bison. So the movie did not get a whole lot of positive reviews, but it was technically a financial success, you know, so hooray! Good for them, eh? So if Hollywood movie wasn't big enough, of course you're gonna go to Saturday morning cartoons, which debuted in 1995, and where we get to our featured episode. So this first episode featured only a handful of characters from Street Fighter 2. Probably the more popular characters, like Ryu and Ken, Guile, Blanka, Chun-Li, and of course the main villain, M.Bison. So the other characters from Street Fighter 2 would appear later on in this series, and also some characters from the Street Fighter Alpha series. But for now, the little gaggle of characters that we got for this episode, you know, still pretty good. So this cartoon series takes inspiration from Street Fighter 2, the video game, as well as Street Fighter, the live-action movie. But slightly different, right? Like in the movie, Guile was leading the AN Peacekeeping Forces, which is the Allied Nations, which is a stand-in for the United Nations. Whereas in this cartoon series, he is still the leader of a worldwide crime-fighting force, not the AN, but a secret force called Street Fighter. Which is all good, because at the beginning of the cartoon, Guile's cover story to be in this Street Fighter unit was that he abandoned his post at a peacekeeping mission, which the peacekeepers would have been the Allied Nations. They use these worldwide martial arts tournaments as a cover for why they're in the country, which is the exact opposite of being stealthy, you know, but still, I guess for the story, it works. Well, kind of. And some other characteristics of the other characters were taken from the movie as well, like Ryu and Ken being a bunch of troublemakers, Blanka being mutated by M.Bison, Chun-Li wanting to get revenge on M.Bison for killing her parents, you know, stuff like that. But I can kind of appreciate where the creators of this cartoon series, kind of came up with all of their ideas. On one hand, you want to be like the video game because that's what all the kids are playing. On the other hand, you kind of want to be like the movie because the people who didn't play the game, they watched the movie, so that's how they get into the show. And on the other hand, they still want to appeal to a younger audience. So I can appreciate how they built the foundation to this TV series. I don't know, it's still just a little off, but it is what it is, right? This cartoon series is not the first cartoon appearance of Street Fighter or any of the characters. That honor falls upon the 1994 anime movie called Street Fighter II, the animated movie, which was a lot better than the North American movie and the North American TV series. But yes, for now, that's pretty much what I got for Street Fighter, at least from this animated series. Like I say, we'll see a lot more characters and whatnot, so we can get to those when we get to those. But, for now, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics. And currently, I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density. And recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastoma, with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel and some links at the end of the video. Yeah! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.